Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, spawning in the southeast corner of the map, playing in red, going by the name of OK. It's Beastyqt, playing as the English. And battling out against them today, spawning in the northwest in blue, we've got Jiglypuf, playing as the Byzantines. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. Now as always, hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm excited for this one. This has got a really good plot actually. Jiglypuf, if it's not known to you, well, he's a guy that has been around the Age of Empires scene for quite some time, but as it happens, he's actually been banned on Beastyqt's chat. He was up to some shenanigans earlier on, maybe trolling Beasty a little bit after tournament games and whatnot, and subsequently he has actually been banned on Beasty's chat, but he's had a couple of run-ins in team games as well as 1v1s, and the exciting thing about it is that actually Jiglypuf has beaten Beasty before, both in team games and in the 1v1 format, which is kind of crazy to think about because, of course, Beasty's, hands down one of the best players in Age of Empires 4. And so for Jiglypuf to have gotten those victories has been pretty impressive. The question is whether he can repeat that, whether he can get the revenge today again for being banned in Beasty's chat. Now, it's going to be the English versus the Byzantines, also a matchup that is very popular in Age of Empires 4, so I'm kind of curious to see how this one, kind of pans out. You've got the Byzantines that are strong in pretty much most of the ages. They do have an incredibly strong feudal age. They've got a really good timing for an all-in play. But more recently, they've been going a bit more sort of a fast castle approach. Go for those cataphracts, which are incredibly strong units. They can go for a nice timing attack with those units as well, dive under bases, and cause a heck of a lot of damage. And the trouble is, going up against the English is a bit of a tricky one, right? They are an incredibly strong defensive civilization. Hard to, run around the town centers for too long, considering the fact that it does a lot of damage. It gets the extra, basically, set of ranged attack. You can see 8 bow attack times 2. And of course, you've got the early warning system of the network of citadels or castles to start off with. And then you've got the villagers that can kind of shoot bows, which actually, to be fair, against cataphracts is not actually a good thing because they're essentially a ranged attack, whereas, cataphracts are generally pretty good against ranged units. In any case, it will be the Abbey of Kings approach here for the English and the Grand Winery for the Byzantines. No real surprises there. I mean, you could potentially make a case for getting Council Hall, but it really depends on how strong you feel like you're going to be able to defend against a castle rush or a feudal age all-in. And, of course, Beasty wouldn't be too fearful of that at all, really, because, of course, he's probably one of the best players at being able to defend pushes. I mean, they're all very good at the top level. You kind of have to be to get there. But I feel like Beasty, he can do it incredibly well. Maybe a little bit of a cut above the rest at defending against all-in players. We shall see how Jiggly decides to play this one out. Of course, on a map like Dry Arabia, you've got the 8,000 gold vein tiles that we have to think about as well if it does get to the mid to late game. And a bit of interesting approach that it's interesting spawn that it's on the sort of southeast corner of the map, really. So we might be seeing a lot of action on this side. Either way, we're going to be up to the next stage relatively soon. But before we get there, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have been enjoying the content, if I could ask for a bit of a favour. Now, it's been a long time since I've asked this. It's completely free. If you could drop down your favourite emoji in the comment section below, that'd be really helpful for the engagement thing on YouTube and hopefully maybe push this video out to more players, more viewers, maybe spread the word about Age of Empires 4 as an RTS game. I think it's very optimistic times for Age of Empires 4, not at least because it's a really good game, but also a lot of other RTS games are kind of failing at the moment. I mean, it's hard to name many other RTS games at the level of Age of Empires 4, even outside of the Age of Empires franchise as it happens. You could maybe make a case for Age of Empires 2, maybe StarCraft 2, but it's a game that's not being supported anymore, so, who knows how long that's going to last for. And a lot of the new developed RTS games aren't really quite hitting the ground running. So, I'd be really happy if you guys shared the video around for players that you think might be interested in watching games of Age of Empires. And we'll see where that takes us. Well, where it's going to take us is into the feudal age with the Abbey of the Kings almost built. Grand Winery is up and running. A really strong landmark for the Byzantines, gives you a little bit extra olive oil, which is great for the mercenaries, of course. And I'm kind of curious to see what mercenary house contract he'll be going for here, Jiggly. What we do know, he's got the water level 1 on the cistern. It's going to be extending that to water level 2. So his villagers are working a little bit faster. Extra gather rate of 15% in the initial stages. In fact, where is it? We're going to have to actually click on a... There we go. It's actually 10%. Oh, wait. Was that been nerfed? Okay, I think it might be nerfed. So it's just 10% starting. It's been a while since I've casted Age of Empires, so It's a bit rusty on the numbers, but there we go, 10%. And I believe it increases by 4% each level. They go for an outpost on the gold that kind of really telegraphs that it's going to go for a sort of fast castle play here. And there's the mercenary house that will make a couple of units to maybe buy the time to get their second town centre coming out here for Beasty. Well, the second town centre is an interesting play. You kind of see how the game might pan out from here. Beasty's going to have to be a bit defensive in the early stages of this match, but he's going to be slowly building that economy, building that villager count, which would be very nice for him. And then it comes to a point where actually Jiggly, he's got to do damage, right, with the push that he's going to be coming in with this Castle Age approach. He's also going to need to pick up those relics. Very important to really kind of maximize the benefits of getting to the Castle Age, and certainly picking up the relics is one of those, especially if you're going up against a better economy in the form of the English second town centre play. So kind of unfolding here already, this plan. And the real question is whether, how much damage can Jiglypuf do? And then subsequently, does he add in more economy himself to try and balance things out if he can't kill his opponent in an all-in push? He could decide to do that with the second town centre himself, maybe look to get trade, and actually go for a fast castle age into, if he can pick up the majority of the relics, that's actually going to be in a pretty good position for the Byzantines, because he can always add in villagers later, and if he gets to the super late game, relying on relic gold or relic olive oil, if it's placed in the Grand Winery, that can be really powerful for the late game. Of course, the English do have passive gold generation from the enclosures upgrade from the mill, which is certainly going to help bridge that gap if he doesn't manage to get many of the relics at Beasty. We'll see how many relics really Jigglypuff is actually able to get. Of course, you've got the king on the prowl. Looks like actually Beasty might be heading towards the Castle Age himself. Of course, he'll be behind on that because he's making villagers from a second town centre. And also, of course, he's, had to make a big investment in that second town centre as it happens. With Jiggly going straight for that second town centre, or going for the second age up, rather, to the Castle Age. A couple of Keshiks. So that was the mercenary house contract of choice, the Eastern mercenary contract. And it looks like it's going to be going full cavalry. I mean, we have seen a typical play here by Jiggly. And it is to go for the Gulp landmark, which is the cistern of the first hill, where if units go a little bit low on health, they can drink some flasks, drink some magic potions, and gain extra HP again. Makes them really good for that longevity, being able to dive in bases. But of course, the English bases are second to none when it comes to arrow fire damage, especially if Beasty decides to go with the White Tower. And yet we get that confirmation. It will be the cistern on the first hill, placed a little bit far out from that town centre. I mean, it's a bit tricky one. Possibly could have built it a little bit closer, because he's going to be attacked now by the king. And I wonder if he can sneakily kill a couple of villages here, potentially. Not quite in the range of the town centre. It kind of is, but he's not going to garrison inside. Just going to pull some of the villagers away. He's got to be careful not to lose anything here, Jiggly. Getting a bit of idle time at least, Beasty. Can try and target the weak villager, maybe? Uh-oh, he's not spotting this. Where are the Keshiks? They're trying to get some villager kills here on the deer camp. Beasty wise to the ruse. He does garrison aside. Does lose one villager in the end. He should be able to get this up eventually. Keshiks are here now to help fight that away. But certainly, kind of a standard opening for both players as it happens. Beasty not too far away from the Castle Age himself. In terms of food, he's kind of running out of sheep, so we'll need to start placing some farms. Of course, going to the deer camp is very important. Being able to get this external source of food so they can get to that second age up, relatively quickly without needing to place any farms, right? Because the idea is, of course, English farms are cheaper, but it's still a wood cost investment, whereas you can pick up free food off the map. Having said that, you've got to be careful not to lose villagers. Beasty's lost one already. The Castle Age is in play for the Byzantines, and what was he queuing up? Is he queuing up any cataphracts just yet? Can't afford it. He's struggling on food a little bit, and that's one thing to consider as the Byzantines. Is, to be fair, he's got quite a decent amount of sheep, because of course he's relied on the berries nice and early. The fact that Byzantines keeping this idle is very, very good. He lost the king there, Beasty. It means that actually Beasty doesn't have a single military unit on the field. He's going to be aging up okay. The Keshiks are going to pick up some villages here potentially. That outpost, I mean, he's not going to repair it, believe it or not. Sometimes you can actually get the villagers to exit and repair. He's going to save the most of them. Saves 3 of them. They're going to be walling up on the right side. Should keep them safe and secure. Not much behind here, actually. Just a bunch of berries. But the main important thing is it keeps the enemy kind of cordoned off a little bit. Makes it a little bit difficult to find angles of attack. Has to come around the west side here rather than the right on the east side. There's quite a bit of protection here. A batch of farms could be placed here for Beasty and be really nice, safe and secure for him. With level 3, be helping the production speed with Conscriptio. Would be at 60% right now. And here is the second of what's likely to be many cataphracts. The first one's there, moving across, and I'm kind of curious to see how quickly Jigglypuff will dive in. I don't think he'll go in too quickly, because you don't want to... You need numbers, right? Because you're going to lose some cataphracts, but you want to get villager kills for it. So if you only just have one or two, the White Tower, I don't think will take care of it. Keshik's dive on in. Should get one villager here. Villagers are fighting. There's the gulp on that Keshik, keeping it alive for now. Does he get a second villager? He doesn't, actually, in the end there. Villager was kind of body blocked a little bit. It's going out to the mill. And the great thing for the Castle Age for the Byzantines now, he's able to put pressure, but also take the free resources off the map. The berries in particular, very nice to get. What if we're going to look to get some monasteries for some relics or not? Doesn't have any just yet. Although he could actually make the scholars or the monks from the Grand Winery, should he wish to do so. Beasty, they're going to try and trap his opponent. Might actually get that trap. Now the numbers are starting to escalate for the Byzantines, but finding it hard to break on through, right? The palisades will keep him out for quite some time. Might get a villager kill here if he spots it. Hello. Oh, he's going to try and sneak around. Bit of a shame there. Could have picked off two villagers for free, really. He spots it now. But the gate's built, so he gets on the other side, would you believe? Unfortunate timings there for the Byzantines. Does gulp with the cataphract. And now he's round the back. It's forcing a bit of idle time with the villagers. But ultimately, Beasty has a good 12 villager lead. So a bit of idle time here and there. Won't hurt him too much. Here come the farms being placed. So farming transition here. Very safe and secure. Going for crossbows as you'd expect. And he could just make them from the White Tower, which is very nice. Not actually having to make a production building here, Beasty, just yet. You can rely on the White Tower. A very versatile structure. Great defensive structure, but also doubles up as a production building. For, well, all the buildings, really. Going to dive in with the cataphract. I don't think he gets this villager kill, unfortunately, so he's losing a couple of units for free, which is not ideal. Beasty managing to... Oh, those villagers are going to be walled out, so he might get a charge and maybe kills one of these guys. If he's lucky. Oh, might not... He gets one of them at least, right? Yeah, he gets one. That's about it. But it's causing idle time, which is great. And behind all this, he should be starting to pick up those relics. It looks like he's doing that, actually. He's got one in the bank already. He's actually placed the monastery, has he? Somewhere? Somewhere. Oh, he's picked it up. He hasn't deposited it just yet. He'll be on the way. There he is, in fact. Yeah, very safe and secure base. Very kind of... I mean, this is kind of interesting because it's going to come to a point where Jiggly will need to make a decision, right? He needs to either add in a second town center himself to try and kind of equalize, or he's going to need to make a massive units go for a really big push. And that push, he has to kill a large chunk of the economy, or do some, you know, really kind of dangerous damage, that basically to kill the game off. But if he can't kill the game off, he just has to kill as many villagers as possible, because the eco lead for Beasty is now really starting to climb. But patiently, he's starting to build up numbers. I'm sure eventually he'll go through. This guy's a bit patient. He's too patient. It's not even working. Hello? Bit of an unusual one. Must have been misclicked there. That's a lot of cavalry. The big problem for the Byzantines really is that it's actually kind of hard countered by just pure crossbowmen, which is exactly what Beasty's making. The question is whether he might be making transition after that or not. We'll have to see. It's going to dive in now right around the White Tower, which is not ideal. Here come the gulps from the cavalry. And the villagers are garrisoned inside the White Tower, which certainly helps. But this is going to be interesting. He probably will lose quite a bit here, but the crossbows going around the White Tower certainly helpful to keep them alive and get the shots off. Ranged units, of course. You're going around the wood line, and that cataphract's getting a lot of kills here. He's killed 10 villagers so far. That should be able to climb. But as we said, he's going to be able to garrison the villages inside the town centres here. Beasty, so he'll be able to keep the economy pretty safe. Although he's losing a lot. I mean, he's getting a lot of arrow fire. Eventually this army will die. It's a bit of a throwaway army for the Byzantines. But he's just trying to get as much damage as he possibly can here, Jiggly. And it looks like he's going to be able to do quite a bit. The king here in between the town centre and the White Tower. Jiggly's killed a lot of villagers. 19 so far. And he has managed to equalise the economy. He's done a lot of damage. And he's got a good number of units still alive. He's in a good spot here as it happens. He's picked up 2 of the relics. The real question is whether, you know, will Jiggly add in a second town centre or not? It could be a good time to do so. A couple of barracks popping out. So possibly going to add in a couple of spearmen into the mix. just to brace themselves. Oh, a couple of villagers have certainly idled over BC, so the economy is in a bit of a pickle, bit of a shambles at the moment, but I'm sure he'll equalize that and replace. Yeah, he's gonna make things a little bit more efficient. But Jiggly at this point, he's got a crossroads. He's got to think about, well, does it continue to double down, do damage, or make more economy? I think really in this situation, the approach has probably got to be adding in a second town center. The real reason for that is actually this is the time where it becomes difficult for most civilizations to sustain a push because of the fact of food, right? Food's actually kind of struggling here for the Byzantines. He's needing a farming transition or an olive grove transition. And so by the time he achieves that, Beasty will build up his economy again, and it becomes a bit of a tricky situation where Beasty's had a stronger economy for, well, quite a while before Jiggly's able to do more damage. So maybe he might need to match like for like, considering he's actually brought Beasty's villager count very low, or equalized it. And the benefit for the Byzantines is managed to pick up 2 relics in the meantime. Of course, the farming transition, well underway for the English. They'll be continuing to make those units. And I think, yeah, generally on the balance of things, in this matchup, this sort of timing, it's going to be difficult for the Byzantines to continue to do damage in the immediate future. It's got a market to equalize here a little bit, the economy here, Beasty as well. And that's always an option, trade. Although, the trade posts are pretty okay actually as it happens. Could be able to place a couple of markets here. Jiggly is a quick way to build that economy actually as it happens. You can make a lot of traders very quickly. A little bit harder to protect at times if you're the Byzantines, but because he's got the map control and the aggression, it could be an option for him. But with a lot of protections coming up here for the English, it feels like their economy is really starting to come online, and the military will start to follow. As you can see, getting plenty of spearmen. Full infantry mass, especially considering now siege or mangonels aren't quite what they used to be. Although you could make a case to say they're actually a little bit better these days because of the fact, well, you might be, just hear me out. So mangonels, whilst the radius of each boulder damage has been reduced and they target kind of, the tracking is a little bit less, they're incredibly powerful purely because they have very limited counters. So springalds are now no longer counters for the mangonels, and that only really leaves you cavalry. But you can imagine if you have a layer of limitane, spearmen, in front of your mangonels, I mean, how do you dive it with horsemen? It becomes very, very tricky. Well, this is a bit of it. Yeah, he can't fight that. He's going to have to back away with the villagers for sure. There's a great bit of pressure, especially considering Beasty knows that Jiggly's struggling on food, right? At least for now. And Beasty's economy is still rocking and rolling. 11 villager lead. And it looks like Jiglypuf is going to go for the 1 town centre play still. Still continuing to try and pick up those relics. And even the sacred site or 2. 2 more on the way. Already picked up 2. And it's got the water level 4, so the economy should be buzzing for the Byzantines in terms of what he has on the ground. It's just that he just has less villagers, which is certainly part of the problem. Because give it time, and Beasty should be able to make a big army to push back with. He's been pretty pegged back at home. He needs to deal with this king, though. He's been a bit of a pest. He's done great work for the English here today. There's a cavalry dive on in. I mean, he might be able to take this town centre as it happens. Possibly could be good at it. He's going to go for economy damage, though, as it happens. This is a big dive. I don't know about this. This is a lot of spearmen, a lot of crossbowmen. Essentially direct counter unit. He charges on through with the counter-effects right on top of the units, fighting underneath the White Tower, would you believe? And there are only 7 units garrisoned inside, but still going to get good value. He's going to kill most of the spearmen as it happens, would you believe? Around the back, bit of raiding here with a couple of spearmen. Not too much there as it happens. It's really the counter-effect show here down in the middle of the English base. But it's just way too much here. This is a big loss of units for Jiggly. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, he's trying to thin down the army, but he's not actually killing economy. So behind all this, Beasty's taking a fantastic trade. He would take this any day of the week. Not a problem for him at all. Because he's got a better economy. He can replace his army so much better than Jigglypuf can. Possibly. Was that a bit of a throw here for Jiggly? Quite possibly, because now he's sort of equalized on military numbers. He's way behind on total villager count, at least. That was a big play there. Big moment in the game. It feels like it went for the English. Now, Jigglypuf does have a decent amount of stone in the bank. Not quite enough for a town centre. Maybe he's thinking about it. Continue to make the cataphracts, and it's kind of easy for Beasty in that sense to make just spearmen and crossbows. These cataphracts will go down, kind of unfortunate for these guys. And this is the benefit of having these palisades, right? Like, it's not just about cutting off an entry route, it's also cutting off an exit route. So once they're in, the cavalry are committed. Gonna charge on through once again on the spearmen, getting some good damage. He should be able to clear out these spearmen. It's good. This is probably a good engagement overall here for the Byzantines. But Beasty pulls back the units, keeps them alive, the majority of them at least. 3 relics inside the Grand Winery, 1 more waiting to be deposited inside the monastery. So should be able to make quite a handful of keshiks with that. But bear in mind, the spearmen that were kind of damaged quite heavily are being healed up at the Abbey of the King, so Beasty really making the most of his units, as you'd expect at his level of play. As we head into the 20-minute mark, we might start to see players think about the central gold veins. Of course, the English could think about going to the Imperial Age, go for the enclosures, get a bit of gold that way. The question is, how greedy does Beasty want to be? Continue to make those units, and I think it might just be a defensive play for Beasty into Imperial Age, and then push out from there potentially. And then begs the question, what landmark would he go for? Would he go for the Wingard Palace? Would he go for the Berkshire Palace? Kind of curious to see. I mean, I'd love to see the Wingard Rangers again. They're a cracking unit for the English for sure. Some insane range. This is a fight I think Jiglypuf probably can't take. He's going to back away for now. Needs to wait for a bit more reinforcements. Range units are trying to chase that down and get a couple of shots. And maybe Sacred Site victory is an option for the Byzantines today. He's going for at least in terms of capping them. Looks like it's going to be a 5 relic game here for Jiggly. Got 4 deposited, 1 more on the way. Cataphracts will take those 3 spearmen down if he does commit, although it might be a bit of a bait. Yeah, he's trying to drag him into the fight, and Jiglypuf doesn't take the bait this time. The houses, of course, used here for Jiglypuf as kind of scouting, give an extra bit of range of vision because of the upgrade that they've got, the border settlements. It looks like he's trying to trade here, Jiggly, trying to set himself up for the late game, which Beasty knows about, so he might potentially challenge for this. Should we take out a couple of spearmen, or is he going to try and bait him once again, maybe? Where's the main army? There it is, yeah, heading to that position. You can see Beasty's approach. The old baitaroo, trying to get him to follow those couple of units and commit to a fight that he can't win. But Jigglypuf, second time in a row, doesn't take the bait. Now, I don't know if this is a little bit too late, actually, as it happens. He's trying to expand the economy quickly. Trade is potentially a really good way to do so, but you'll see he's going to be able to make it or not. He takes a bit of losses there on the HP, but at least the gulping is happening, so these units will be healing up a little bit. But behind all of this, it looks like, I mean, he's kind of struggling on gold, actually. I think that's what Beasty's moving out for now. He will need to start moving out onto the map to get gold, because he will want that Imperial Age. He's got a good number of units to do so. I think Jigglypuff senses that as well. Both 8,000 gold vein tiles are here after all. Yeah, Beasty is kind of struggling on gold, considering he doesn't have any relics. Looks like he's going to try and establish a keep. I think that's the way to do it. Oh, cavalry going to charge on through, right on top of the spearmen. Should be able to take out the majority of those spearmen very quickly, but it's the crossbows that are real trouble here for the cataphracts. Not enough to one-shot a cataphract just yet, although now with a couple of spearmen adding into the fight once again, this could be a decent fight for Beasty if he kites it, which he will do, of course. And yeah, Jigglypuff decides not to really fully engage that. Just too many spearmen this time. Beasty holds once again, but is going to need that keep, and that actually could have been a really good... it feels like it's a good fight for Beasty, because now the numbers thin down for the Byzantines. It could allow Beasty to move those villagers to build that keep. But he needs some protection on this 8,000 gold vein. He needs gold. In fact, he's going to go for stone walls, would you believe? Okay, well, he's not thinking about Imperial Age just yet then. Perhaps wants to get to the 200 population capacity. And then work from there, potentially. But Jigglypuff certainly using the houses to good effect to get the vision for him. Beasty's starting to move forward. He feels confident. He certainly has the military lead. Certainly has the economy lead. Jigglypuff being pushed back home, which is not ideal playing the cavalry civ. He hasn't actually switched to any other units, would you believe? He believes in the power of the Byzantine cavalry. Stone walls continue to come up, and it will be the Wingard Palace, so I think he might have traded there on the market. As it happened, their beastie must have, right? But the great thing now is that all he needs to get is enclosures, and he'd be in a good... Oh, there's the gold. Maybe he didn't trade it fully, but I didn't actually spot that on the minimap, but he has been gathering a bit of gold. He's going to add in more villagers. There we go. So we could potentially see some Wingard Rangers. Maybe they're going to be on the walls potentially here. Cataphracts will be breaking through. BC, he needs to be be a bit careful about this. Although he's got his army in position, but he might lose a couple of villages. He will. They're going to charge on through these cataphracts. He's got a spearman to contend with though. Here come the crossbows to protect the spearmen. I'm going to back away for now. But yeah, certainly the sting has been taken out of the Byzantines with a couple of fights. With Beast now going to the Imperial Age, he's certainly going to be in a really strong position. But trade slowly but surely being set up. I think we see a couple of man-at-arms as it happens now for Beasty. He's making a bit of a switch, which is an interesting choice. Of course, it's a bit unusual because you're up against cataphracts and keshiks that do great against man-at-arms. But either way, they're going to be Imperial Age man-at-arms soon enough, I would imagine. So they'll still be able to trade relatively well. I'm kind of curious to see what comes out of the Wingard Palace, to be honest. Keep an eye on up. Now looking to decamp the southern sacred site. Just limit the amount of gold that Jiggly can get. Wonder if Jiggly's going to start going to the Imperial Age himself. He needs to be careful though. He needs a good standing army to do so. It doesn't really feel like he's got it. Starting to get the stone walls in the north. He's going to need that because he can feel the pressure. Probably about to come in from the English relatively soon. Just going to clear up a stray couple of units. Gives BC the opportunity now to move northwards. The Byzantines have committed most of their army, if not all of it, down in the south. Leaves them a little bit exposed in the north, which Beasty is aware of. So that's where he heads towards. So interesting that he actually went for mass stone walls rather than keepsake Beasty with the stone he collected. He just wants to cordon off against the cataphracts and the cavalry units. Makes a lot of sense because when you move out with a relatively static army, you want to be cautious. You don't want to be moving so far out that you can't retreat behind walls anymore. So it extends the walls further out. Now going to start to get in some battering rams and get some siege into the fight. Of course, very important because he wants to take down the infrastructure as well as do damage. Oh, Jiggly, these villagers. He's going to have to be careful. He does pull them back. He spots it in time. So Beastie wants to make a bit of a push now that he's an age ahead, and understandably so. So Jiggly will look to try and get to the Imperial Age himself, but does he have enough time? That's the big question. The timing here could be crucial as he starts to age out with the Palatine School on the other side of the base, which I like because, of course, the last thing you want to do is Beastie to camp this and stop the age up. So it does have a bit of an extra chance to spawn new units in addition to the ones he trains when he gets to the Imperial Age, but the question is, will he be able to get there with a satisfactory economy? Because it looks like he's going to be under a lot of pressure now. That's a lot of spearmen, a lot of crossbows, and a lot of his economy is going to be idle. Not only the villages, but also the trade. Maybe he's going to go for a bit of a base trade, but there's no way in. Beastie's fully well protected in a stone wall. This is the power of having static defenses and stone walls. You can attack knowing that your base is very safe and secure, and you can't get raided as easily. Even having the White Tower and possibly network of citadels, which he does have, cataphracts can still do a job, but they can only do it if they're in the base. He's just going to torch this down. That's crazy. That is the capital town centre, by the way, so kind of crazy he's been able to do that. Splits the army off in two, but it does catch a couple of crossbows in the north. But it feels like it's got a lot. I mean, these guys are Imperial Age units, right? Elite crossbows, elite spearmen, up against just the Castle Age cataphracts, which is a bit of a problem. He's broken through in the north, and spearmen are now forcing the villagers away. It's going to cut off gold income. Well, some gold income for the Byzantines. Of course, he's got some good gold income from the relics of 2 of them in for gold, 3 of them in for olive oil. Beastie, though, is heading back for now. Not too keen on the fight just yet. And he does have enclosures, so gold income will be relatively secure, but maybe he's looking to get down the middle. Looks like Beastie. Let me just clear this up. Looks like maybe Jiggly wanted to have a bit of vision there, but now that he knows his enemy's there, he might be thinking about trying to challenge that location. Good few spearmen clearing up traders, slowly but surely. The cataphracts have got to get there. I've got to deal with that. Can't afford to lose that economy, really. There we go. Well, there's the gold being gathered. He's going to start making a play for this, understandably so, because enclosures is great, but it's not quite enough to, you know, pretty much hold up a whole economy. And here come the elite cataphracts, which look absolutely phenomenal. So the real question here is really, where does Jiglypuf go from here? He's behind on economy, he's behind on military. Granted, the military that he has is pretty crazy. I mean, elite Keshiks and elite cataphracts can do a job, but they are going up against their direct hard counter, right? So this is going to be a rough one here for Jiggly. Maybe he can try and see this game to the super late game and make a way that way, but it's going to be tough, right? Because you get the feeling that BZ is not going to allow that to happen, or at least he's going to try to. And if you can get access to gold, this is where the game, you feel, lies, right? Getting access to these 2 gold veins, absolutely huge in the context of the game. Gold units are incredibly powerful, though having said that, you know, I mean, trash units are starting to make their way in Age of Empires for a little bit more, considering the recent patch, but you know, gold is still king, really. And there it is. There's the keep to protect that gold the Beasty will be getting. Look how much food he's got. That's absolutely phenomenal. It certainly feels like a hard ask here for the Byzantines now, but we shall see if we can make a fight of it. Certainly been an entertaining game so far. Moving out. Bear in mind, with the English, one force move, you can lose the majority of your army if you get surrounded. So we'll have to be careful about that. Although, with a great, strong economy that Beasty has, if he loses a bit of a couple of units, it's not going to be too hard to replace. Oh, tries for a wallow. Only on the king, which he can't actually wallow as it happens. That was a bit of an odd one. The trade has been hampered heavily. That's the one thing about going for trade as your economy. It's not the easiest to protect. Especially when your enemy does decide to move out, which is exactly what Beasty's doing now. Like, he's got a couple of units on the trade on this side. A couple of units on this trade on this side. It's going to be tricky for the Byzantines to really establish that back again. That's a lot of spearmen, a lot of crossbows. Looks like Beasty might just dive this, but he's going to need siege, right? It's going to be a slow and steady push. But certainly the momentum definitely is heading in the way of the English. There's no doubt about that. These couple of crossbows are just going to be a bit of a nuisance. He's got enough stone almost for another keep. Might place it right in his enemy's base, or he could just place it on the other gold vein. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's... okay, he's already got that, and he's got enough for another keep as it happens. But the economy here for Jiggly, very idled. Units are just diving on in here for Beasty. And this is going to be a hard hold. We've got strong units, but making only 1 unit time is a bit of a... he needs to spring in a couple of other different types of units would be helpful. Maybe a couple of... well, it's tricky, you know, crossbows, spearmen as a combination of army is really tough to deal with. But adding in a couple of archers could be useful for the Byzantines. The only problem with that is, of course, a switch on the man-at-arms for the English. And maybe longbows, wingard ranges would be a bother with the extra range, of course. It's going to be able to clear out the most of this, but not without casualties. I mean, ultimately, it's been a bit of a game of trading, right? And I think Beasty's army's just traded really well. Oh, this is nice to see. A batch of wingard rangers. Here they come out. We've seen Beasty use them before. We're going to see him use it again. And kind of charge on through. So we'll be able to clear this up. But he's just lost so much economy now, hasn't he? Jiggly down to half the number of villagers. In fact, less than half that Beasty has. So you get the feeling, unless he pulls out a miracle, it's going to be a matter of time. And the question is, how does Beasty decide to finish this game off? He's not made a single trebuchet just yet. Not a single siege unit. But he must know he's ahead. Cavalry coming down south, but he's going to run into problems. He's trying to get a keep there. Yeah, Jiggli's struggling for gold, as you'd expect at this stage. Sure, he's got 4 of the relics. Oh, this one not placed in just yet. Yeah, I'm sure he's got 4 of the relics, but that won't be enough to compete with both enclosures and the gold income for Beasty. And try and take down the keep. He might actually get it in the end. Where's the army for Beasty? He's moving out. Wait, what is this? He's actually stonewalling him in a really forward advanced position as well. Trying to box the Byzantines in. But just come out to repair for a second. And here come the Rangers, the Wingard Rangers, forcing the cavalry back home. The villagers will come out to repair. He keeps the keep, and that is unfortunate there for the Byzantines. It's not what they want. If you commit to a keep like that, you feel like you've got to take it out because you'd be losing units, and now it feels like he's lost those units for free. Well, I guess he's forced out repairs, but not a big deal when you're considering the English economy right now. Oh no, I've got an idea he might be doing. He might be getting the Rangers on site. Yeah, he's doing it. He's going to get the Rangers inside or on top of the walls. And then it'd be impossible for Jigglypuff to deal with it. He would need Siege to deal with it. So, going from banning the player to now trolling the player, Beasty's got full control of the game. And even if Jigglypuff does lose this is kind of funny to see. You may not know about the Jigglypuff the Jigglypuff Beasty saga if you're not on Twitch. But if you are, you know, it's obviously kind of funny to see, but there's been a bit of a back and forth with Jiggly being banned in Beastyqt's chat and trolling him a little bit. Now here comes the reverse troll. The Wingard Rangers on the walls. Very, very cheeky. I think that's got to be the screenshot for the thumbnail, I'd imagine. Couple of cannons. Oh, he's going to try and get there. There is an overchop, so maybe he can get some significant damage. The walls won't come up in time, and to be fair, he can just torch down one of the segments and break on through anyway. He does exactly that. So we'll be getting a couple of villagers. Of course, the bank of resources, though, for Beasty is absolutely phenomenal. And, well, of course, the Byzantines have struggled for gold. Barely has anything. He's continuing to make the walls, and he's just going to be able to range his villagers with the rangers. Sure, the economy will be idle for a little bit here for things, but there's no escape, right? This is kind of it's a desperate move, right? You feel like it's a desperate move, because we talked about earlier how the walls, not only do they block a way of entering the base, they also block a way of exiting the base. And, well, now he's pretty much trapped. That is essentially the remaining army that Jiggly has, and it continues to build out walls. Does Jiggly not spot this? I mean, he's going to spot it soon enough with the Wingard Rangers shooting the villagers and getting notifications of it. But here we go. A lot of the cataphracts will be going down to the ranged units of the crossbows. There's no way to escape here, really. The spears will chase. Oh, they're idle. Oh, no. They're going to go straight into the spearmen. They managed to wake up a little bit, but yeah, there's just too many crossbows. They should aggro onto them and take out the majority of the units. So let's escape with a couple, but it's not very meaningful. And even the trade now is being hampered, because the trade route goes through the base. But take a look at this. The Rangers are right there. These guys have a whopping 10.5 tiles range. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolute madness. And he can't farm here at all here, Jiggly. Not only is he going to struggle on gold, he's going to struggle on food as well. He's got a bit of a bank of resources, but unit numbers just looking way too rough here for Jiggly. And the troll looks complete. A stone wall forward push with the Rangers. Well, that's certainly one way to do things. He's got full control of the map now. He's cleared up the army. Jiggly, he's lost his forward positions. Down to 15 military. Does he have any siege? He's got a... I mean, the ultimate problem is that, well, you take out one tile of the stone walls, they just retreat to the one behind it. It's not a big deal. And in fact, you know what? I don't know if the Wingard Rangers outrange trebuchets. It's quite likely they do. So even if he was to try and make trebuchets, it would be a problem. But yeah, Jiggly just holding on for dear life at this point. It's still impressive, his attempt here today. Bear in mind, Jigglypuff is a lot lower ranked than Beastyqt, as you can imagine, and Beasty is certainly one of the best players in the whole wide world with Age of Empires 4, so Jigglypuff made a bit of a game of it for the first 20 minutes. After that, it was a bit of a struggle. I think it came down to one decision, really, which is after he did a lot of damage, he didn't add in further economy. He tried to go for continuing with the one town center play, and it hurt him because he didn't really have the food income to continue that. And so not adding in more economy to try and match meant that it was essentially an all-in play, which wasn't able to achieve it. He's trying to get a defensive keep, but with 40 minutes on the clock, you get the feeling it's going to be difficult now that he's on 66 villagers. Bear in mind, Beasty is at 95. I think, did he kill villagers? Did he, like, delete villagers maybe? He may have lost a couple, but he's at 200 population almost, so it doesn't really matter. effects charge on through. Just getting a couple of cinematic shots for this one for the end of the game, but these crossbows just whipping through the cataphracts now. The Wingard Rangers picking off villagers left, right, and centre. He's down to 9 military. He's got a Cairo Siphon. But there's not a lot that Jiglypuf can do. Certainly an entertaining game, especially from the narrative of the story between these two players. Beasty banned Jiggly. Jiggly beat Beasty once with this, I don't think same matchup, but with the Byzantines. But today, unfortunately, Jiggly hasn't been able to continue that revenge train, and it will be Beasty who, with a measure of troll into the gameplay, has been able to take out the Byzantines after a rough kind of few minutes with the amount of cataphracts that were running around in his base doing damage. Forward Siege Workshops just to see out the game, but he probably won't need it. It's been a fun one. It's been a pleasure. Even gets the cannon outpost in the outpost in the forward position. Yeah, certainly now the army will completely shut down the trade, and all that remains to be seen is a tap out from Jiggly, and there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this casted game, and if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.